Hi, my name is LIVE.mp4. I'm a real estate salesman. I buy, build, and sell real estate. Welcome to another episode of Fireside Conversation. Today, I'll be talking about a very somber topic, and the topic is pretty simple. What people on dying bed can teach us about how to live. All of us will die, so it's not news. But few of us take very active thought about the thought of dying, probably because we are afraid or we think it's a negative thing. Death is not negative, neither is it positive. It's just a transition most times. So when we talk about it, everybody tends to be very quiet. You know, I was reading up about an experiment in a university, and the philosopher was just trying to understand that what are the things that become important when you're at the point of death and what becomes irrelevant when you're at the point of death. And that will be the conversation we're going to have today. But there are four things that I would talk about before I go into 9 pillars that people have when they are on their deathbed. The first one is when you get to that point from the experiment and from just checking up on researches that were done. Number one thing that you realize is that ego becomes unimportant. You know, the fact that that person insulted you, that person did not regard you, and your status in society, how you feel about the way you were treated becomes irrelevant because you understand that all those ones no longer matter. Number two is acceptance of the inevitable. One of the challenges we have as human is that the things we don't learn to differentiate between what we can change and what we cannot change. And because of that, our life is our life is under a lot of pressure. When we begin to understand the serenity prayer, and then it helps us to know what we can deal with, what we can change, and the things we can't change. And then we have that wisdom to actually know the difference. The other thing that I just noted here is that once you get to that point also, materiality or material things becomes very, very unimportant to those people. There are very few people who are at the point of their death who are worried about their bank balance, who are worried about the cars, who are worried about the houses they built. You know, so material things become very irrelevant, and then finally the focus now goes to the things that are really very important. And what are those things that are really very important? And those are the things I'm just going to try to reel out. Number one is that the people we love matter. At the end of the day, when the chips are down, nobody wants to die feeling lonely or lonely. And you would see a lot of epitaph, a lot of story that is written about it. Said he died amongst family and friends, amongst their loved ones. Now, at that point in time, the important people to us are not the business partner. They are not the gang that will go out with to have drinks. They are not the transaction partners that we have. They are the people we love, we care about. Those are the people we want to be around us. So the people we love are very important. And I would like to encourage, if you are listening to me today, if you look into your orbit and ask yourself, who are the people that are important that I love, and what am I doing today to communicate that love? Most of us never do it. And when we don't learn to do it while we're still healthy, alive, and still bubbling, it's going to be difficult to do when we get to death. So you want to be careful. You want to live that life so that you don't have that regret. Number two is that relationship and friendship matters. It becomes very important. One of the experiences they had, or one of the common things that people say is, I don't want to die alone. They want to, in fact, it was the basis of the experiment after a while that led to there's this expertise where they invite psychologists or people to just sit with them and keep quiet, maybe hold their hand or just be around them at the point of dying, because there seems to be a bit of panic when people get to that point and nobody seems to be around them. So what you want to do at this point, before you get to that level or to that junction of life, is you want to invest in relationship, you want to invest in building friendship. And when I say friendship, it's not a transactional kind of friendship, it's genuine friendship that is coming from your heart of giving. You want to just give value to that person. You want to make the person better. Those investments actually will pan out. We need to learn from those who are the exit point where nothing seems important apart from the things that are really important. Because it's easy to think that because you are up and about, that friendship doesn't matter. You're making a lot of money right now. You don't have time to actually invest in. And friendship doesn't necessarily mean the other person out. Friendship with your kids, friendship with your spouse, friendship with your cousins, with your niece, with your nephew. Those things becomes the pillar that provide joy when you get to the point where you want to exit. You are at the departure lounge of life. The third pillar that was raised as very important is that dreams matter. A lot of people, when they get to that point, one of the few regrets they have are those dreams that they never pursued. And a lot of us were listening to me today. You've had dreams that you've refused to pursue because you're afraid of what that person would say, or what your neighbor will say, what your sister would say, whatever it is. You need to realize that at the end of the day, one of the regrets that most people have when they get to that point and it becomes impossible for them to go back is to look back and wish that some of this dream that they had, they are pursuing. Whatever is hindering you today is actually going to cause a load of regret for you. So whether it be fear, whether it be, actual lack of resources, you will not actually be able to justify the fact that you did not pursue your dream when you get to that point, because you did not have resource. You would wish you had done it, and it will be too late. So I would want to encourage you today, no matter what it costs you, no matter, the fear you have, you need to step out in spite of your fear. The fourth one is that happiness is a choice. We tend to think that I'll be happy when I have money, I'll be happy when I have a spouse, I'll be happy when I buy that phone, I'll be happy when At the end of the day, happiness is not related to those external things. Those external things can provide a fleeting excitement that is tied to that. But what we realize is once you buy anything, after a short while, the joy, the excitement you derive from that tend to decrease. That is the way life is. That is why people keep pursuing. And in the course of pursuit, what we're pursuing is happiness, but what we end up doing is traveling further from the point of happiness when our goal is to just pursue those temporal things that will provide the fleeting dopamine rush. And then when that wears up, we look for the next thing. So happiness is not tied to those things that we have or do not have. It's about those choices. The people that are happy at those points are people who have made up their mind to actually smile in the face of pain, to smile in the face of challenge, to rise and decide that the state of their internal affairs is determined by who they are, what they've become, the purpose they've pursued, and the service they've rendered, rather than the things that are external. So happiness significantly is a choice. You need to make that choice today to do the things you need to do that will create happiness in the future. And when you get to that point, and you will get to that point, all of us will get there. So we need to start thinking, would I want to die happy, or would I want to look back and wish that I made more positive choice? Another point that was noted there is that people's opinion are not important. A lot of time we live our life to satisfy people who don't really matter at the end of the day. We tend to look at the things that they would say, the way they would look at you, the way they would, they will not approve what you're doing. And then we take that and use it to form the basis of our direction in life. And most times when we get to that place where everything, the only important things matter, we realize that we had lived our life the way we're not supposed to live it. We had not lived the trajectory that we were supposed to live. And then we realized that we never really actually lived. We actually just existed in the shadow of somebody else's life. So we need to actually start asking, what opinion has molded my life that is not part of the course of purpose in my life? And then we need to keep asking, what do I need to do today to advance towards my God-given goal, God-given direction in life? And really, this question is very important. What exactly is driving you? Is it purpose, or is it what people will say? A lot of people get into trouble today because people, you go to a party and you don't drink, you don't want to take alcohol, but you take it because people will think you're a wussy, you are not a strong man, quote unquote, and then that changes the course of your life. At the end of the day, when you get to that departure lounge, the opinion of people does not matter. So please start living based on the purpose of your life, based on the direction that you want to, that God has written concerning you. And I believe that everybody, no matter who you are, even if you're an atheist, there's a purpose of creation for all of us. And if we don't follow it, we will get to that deathbed and realize that it was a wasted time all the while. You could have lived for 100 years, or you might have lived for 100 years, but it becomes insignificant when you've not lived the way you should have lived, and when you don't arrive at the destination that you should. The fifth point is that success is intangible. A lot of time we tend to equate success with how much you have in the bank, how many houses you have, how many cars you have, how many clothes, the designer brands that you carry. When the chips are down, there's nobody on deathbed that is requesting to actually wear a Gucci wristwatch because they realize that it's not important. Nobody has ever been at that junction and is requesting for Rolls Royce, is ordering. Now, all those ones becomes insignificant. I was, part of the experiment. I was listening to multi-millionaire, and some of his last statement was that he was willing to give up everything he has just to actually be able to extend his life by 1 week. And when people who have made millions or even billions take a look at it and say, look, I'm willing to give up all these billions because if I could just extend my time by 1 month, by 6 months, by 1 year. What it tells you is what is important is not those material things that we tend to put so much emphasis. There are so many people that it would even accelerate their journey towards that junction of life, towards the departure lounge, because they pursue material things at the detriment of their health. And what happens is, for some of them, they use all their time, all their energy to, and their health to pursue wealth. And then once they get the wealth, they now use all the wealth to pursue or to recover their health. That is a waste of time. So you need to realize that success is more of the intangible. What are those success? Happiness, relationship, love, kindness, a sense of fulfillment that comes from giving, a sense that we have contributed, that we're part of something bigger than us, that we've made the lives of people around us better. It might sound motivational, but at the end of the day, the things that we put emphasis on, the cars, those ones are things that will not matter when we are at that point in time. Then the number 7 is that time is a very precious commodity. It's very easy to think that you have the time, to think that, oh, I'm still 20, I'm still 19, I still have so many years. One of the things that we learned is when people get to that point, times become very important to them because they realize that there's time no more. The problem with this, there's an illusion that we always have time. We never have the time. Come to think of it, if you're 25 years today or you're 20 years today, you can look back 5 years ago, wherever you were, and you can remember it like yesterday. It's the same way that you look back 5 years before now, and you realize that it's such a short time that you realize that 5 years time is looking like, just tomorrow or yesterday or 5 years. You do not have that time. So what does it mean? If you have a precious commodity that is a very short supply, what do you do with it? You make judicious use of that commodity. You tend to actually value it. You tend to preserve it. And for every time you let go of that resource, what you want to do is to make sure that you are getting value in return. How many of us spend our time, on things that does not contribute anything, on things that does not have value, because we think we have the time? You tell yourself, I have 24 hours to kill. You don't have 24 hours to kill. You have 24 hours that you want to take out of your life inventory. And then once that is gone, that is no more. So please understand that time is very precious. The number 8 thing is that procrastination is the foundation of regret. There are things that you need to do today that you don't do, and then you keep pushing it, one of the things you will regret are the things you never do. There are very few people on that deathbed who were very excited about, every time they look back, they wish they had spent time. I was watching a particular episode where the man was saying that one of the things he wished he did was he wished he had spent time with his son. He wished that he had more time to go fishing. And the son had continually asked him. And then he was 42. He had cancer. He knew that his time was up. He knew that it had just a matter of days. And then he requested for that son to sit with him. And he was speaking to the son and said he would give anything today if they can make it possible to just sit on that boat that they've been planning to do for years but never got to do. What are those things that you should have done that you've not done? What are those things that are good, that will form the base of your happiness? When you get to the exit lounge, that you are pushing because of fear, because of anxiety, because you think until when I get into that relationship, until when I buy that, you need to step back a bit and ask yourself, can I do it today? Because even if you're young, you never can tell when your session will be scheduled at the departure lounge. You don't want to get there and realize that you postponed the things that would have made your exit a bit more interesting. The last one that I will discuss is the concept of purpose. Purpose is the source of peace and fulfillment. Most of those who look back at the point of death and said, oh, I'm happy, to move on to the next level. Most of those who had good things to say understood what their calling was, understood the concept of purpose, and they had pursued that to the best of their abilities. So they knew at the point when they got to departure lounge that they had done what they were supposed to do. They were most likely going to go out of this existence into the next phase of life empty, because I said next phase because I believe that death is actually transition from this phase of life to the next. Where you will end up now depends on what is driving your spiritual life or what is driving your destiny. But coming back to what I said, you need to understand purpose. You need to understand what you were created to do, and you need to be deploying part-time if you want to find peace, if you want to find enjoy, a sense of, oh, I've done it, I've achieved it, I'm moving on to the next level. Those are the 9 pillars, I think it's about 9 now, that were taken from those interview. And I hope that you would go back on this video and take them one by one and ask yourself, what dream am I not pursuing? What friendship am I not investing in? Who do I love that I'm not allowing them to know or to realize it? At the end of the day, the things we regret the most are the things we never did, are the love we never extended, the friendship we never struck, the dream we never pursued, the gift we never gave, the effort we never put into those things. Those are the things we regret. And I hope that if you've listened to this, you'll go back again, so that when you get to that point, your regret will be minimum. I hope this session has been instructive as it has been for me while I was trying to walk around it. And I hope that you will take the pieces of this one and use it to make your life richer. And then I need you to do me a favor. If you think this content has been of value to you, I'd like you to just click on the subscribe button somewhere there. If you're watching on Facebook, it's at Kasafina Development. If you're on Instagram, it's at Kasafina Development. And if you're on YouTube, it's at Kasafina TV. I hope that you will do that for me so that I can justify the investment of time by the team behind the camera. Thank you so much for staying till this time. And I hope that, I've not made you too sad, but inspire you to actually live a better life. Till I see you during the next session. Have a wonderful life.